Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. I realize that it's really hard for some people to understand the concept of attack power in Monster Hunter, so I wanted to make one more video in an attempt to explain it better, because in Monster Hunter World they're going back to bloated attack values. Okay, first let's understand what attack power really means. This is the number that's shown next to your weapon on the equip screen. Let's use real life as an example. Take someone like Mike Tyson. That dude is strong, but he can throw weak punches if he wanted to. The more power he puts behind an attack, the more damage he can do. His maximum damage output would be his attack power. Imagine his heavy attacks being a weapon like the greatsword, and his lighter attacks being something like the sword and shield. Both over the same period of time could output an equal amount of damage because they're both Mike Tyson, but the number of hits would be very different. That's kinda how weapons work. Let's say your greatsword has an attack power of 200. That means that if you used 100% of your power as a hunter, 200 would be the value they use for damage calculation. So a normal sword chop may be like 40% of your total power, and a charged hit may be like 130% of it. Well, a sword and shield of the same attack power of 200 would do far less damage because each hit that you do with that weapon is very fast and there's not a very long animation, aka a lot of your power is not being put behind each attack. So the standard slice may be like 15% of your power, and a charged hit for sword and shield may be like 30%. The idea is that the power rating in your weapon, if it's the same as the greatsword, then at that point in the game, these weapons can be considered equal in power in the hands of someone who knows what they are doing. Capcom obviously feels that this is confusing for many players, and they're afraid that people will say, well, if my sword and shield has an attack power 200, then surely it's better than my greatsword of attack power 200 because it attacks faster. But of course that's not the case. But to combat this misconception, in the main series, Capcom likes to bloat the attack values on numbers in order to better reflect the average damage output that weapon can do, but in my opinion, it just makes it even more confusing. For example, traditionally a greatsword has a bloat value of 4.8, and the sword and shield has a bloat value of 1.4. So if you made the same tier weapon from the same monster, and let's say its real attack is 200, then for the greatsword on the equip screen it would show 960, and for the sword and shield it would show 280. As someone who likes to know if two weapons are technically equal in power for my stage in the game, I hate this system. I have to down-convert the bloated attack numbers just to see what the real base number is and see if I'm using an equal power weapon. But I don't know, maybe this is easier for more people to understand. If you decide to go deep into Monster Hunter, you'll come across a term called motion value. Basically, the longer the attack takes to do, the closer to its max power rating it does. So for a 200 attack power weapon, a motion value of 15%, or just like a really quick jab, would be like a total of 30 power. If the same weapon had a long attack that had a motion value of 40%, then that would be 80 attack value. In the meta, min-max hardcore world, people really care about motion values as they reveal the absolute most efficient speed attack type of efficient way that you can do combos and attacks. But in a game like Monster Hunter, honestly, it's often situational, so don't worry too much about it. We have a term in Japanese called tachimawari, which basically means the way that one stands and moves around a monster. This is what the game is all about. How do you approach the monster? How fast and efficient can you react? What is your strategy and where are you going to hit? Every player has their own strengths and weaknesses when it comes to combat and using the same weapon, so your max DPS may be utilizing different attacks than other players. Anyways, I hope this video gives a little bit of light onto what attack power values really mean, because it's going to get a bit confusing once the game is out. Let me know down in comments below if you prefer this bloated attack power system, or if the true attack value being shown, which they did in Monster Hunter Generations, is something you actually like more. I actually have a ton of videos talking about how damage, status, elemental, and all that type of damage calculation is done, and I do feel that a lot of this is going to apply to Monster Hunter, so I'll put the links in the description down below. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, happy hunting.